The day that $5,247 electric bill hit my mailbox like a lightning strike in the desert, I knew Regina Langford had just picked a fight with the one man in Sunstone Ridge Estates who could trace every volt back to its source. Standing there in my driveway, Arizona sun baking the blacktop, work boots still dusted with conduit shavings, I felt the same cold fury I get when a homeowner tries to cheap out on proper grounding, except this time the cheapskate was the queen of the HOA herself. 3 years after I buried my wife in that little cemetery outside Phoenix, I'd moved us here for the community harmony they kept preaching in the welcome packet. Emma was 17, eyes glued to engineering textbooks, dreaming of ASU and a future that didn't involve scraping by on my electrician wages. Every dollar I saved flipping breakers and pulling wire was another semester closer. Regina Langford? She treated the neighborhood like her personal kingdom, white Mercedes gleaming in the circular drive, vanity plates screaming, rule as one. Pressed khakis, ruler in her purse for grass inspections, and a smile that could freeze a saguaro. She'd quote the 400-page bylaws like scripture, while her own garage hummed 24/7 with industrial kills firing desert artisan pottery she sold online for fat profits. At first I played nice, kept the lawn at exactly 3 inches, parked my truck in the garage like a good little serf, paid the $200 monthly fee without complaint. Then I installed one modest security camera after break-ins 2 streets over. Emma's safety wasn't negotiable. Regina showed up at my door the next morning, clipboard in hand, voice dripping fake concern. Mr. Crow, Section 7.4 clearly prohibits unauthorized exterior modifications. That camera is a visual eyesore. $250 fine. I pulled out the bylaws I'd actually read cover to cover. Section 12.2 allows security devices for resident protection. She just smiled tighter. Interpretation is at the board's sole discretion. That was the first paper cut. Then came the campaign of death by fine, my truck commercial vehicle visible from street, my coiled garden hose not aesthetically stored, my mailbox flag slightly faded. Each envelope $150 plus processing. Emma's face got tighter every time another one arrived. But the real war started on a Tuesday when a process server handed me the thick manila envelope at 6 a.m. while Emma was scrambling eggs for school. Cease and desist, $5, $247 delinquent utility assessment or lien on your property. Through my kitchen window I could see Regina 3 houses down, sipping coffee on her lanai, watching like it was premium entertainment. She didn't know I'd already smelled the scam. 30 years wiring homes in the Southwest teaches you that electricity doesn't lie, people do. I drove straight to the county recorder's office, then called my old buddy Miguel from the utility company. Midnight behind the community clubhouse, flashlights low, we found it. Sloppy jumper cables bypassing the meter, feeding straight to Regina's garage. Her kills, big industrial monsters that draw more juice than a small factory, were sucking power from every homeowner's shared account. The spike matched exactly when her Etsy shop started shipping hand-thrown Arizona pottery at $89 a pop. She escalated like a short circuit. 3 complaints from board members filed within an hour, claiming my home workshop was running an illegal business. The city inspector showed up while Emma was mid-SAT practice. Regina arrived on cue, all concern. We simply cannot allow commercial activity to degrade our residential character. The inspector cleared me in 20 minutes. Textbook residential 220-volt setup, ma'am. Perfectly legal. Regina's smile flickered like a dying bulb. But she wasn't done. 2 days later the foreclosure threat landed. $12, $800 in accumulated violations. Emergency board vote, 48 hours to pay or lose the house. Emma locked herself in her room, voice cracking through the door during her college interview. That was the moment I stopped playing defense. Old Harold Whitaker showed up that night, widow of the former treasurer who died 2 years ago. Maria kept everything, he said, sliding a thick folder across my kitchen table. Bank statements, meeting minutes, photos of illegal wiring taken the week before her heart attack. Regina's presidency? Fake election, no quorum, forged signatures, including people who'd moved away or passed on. Embezzlement, $142,000 funneled from HOA accounts to Blackwood Pottery LLC, disguised as landscaping and pool maintenance that never happened. The bylaws she loved to weaponize required annual audits and majority votes for any fee increase. She'd ignored everyone. I didn't go to her emergency meeting empty-handed. I brought the utility fraud report, Maria's photos, and thanks to an anonymous tip, 2 FBI agents sitting quietly in the back row. The clubhouse was packed. Regina strode in like she owned the microphone. We must address this disruptive element threatening our standards. I stood up, calm as a properly grounded circuit. Section 9.3 of the very bylaws you quote requires a full financial transparency audit when requested by 10% of homeowners. I have 87 signatures. I clicked the projector. Meter readings. Tampered seals. Kiln photos. Bank transfers. Her face went the color of cheap drywall primer. This is harassment, she sputtered. I was simply maintaining community excellence while running a legitimate home business. I leaned into the mic, voice low. Legitimate? Your own Instagram stories show those kills running at 2 a.m., the exact hours the clubhouse meter spikes. You quoted Section 4.1 to fine me for a visible hose, yet you ran illegal 240-volt bypasses that could have burned this whole neighborhood down. Rules for thee, but not for me. Regina. The room erupted. Neighbors who'd been quietly paying her fines started shouting their own stories. One woman held up canceled checks. Another played a voicemail where Regina threatened further action if she didn't pay up quietly. Regina tried to shut it down. This meeting is adjourned. But the FBI agent stood. Actually, ma'am, we'd like to speak with you about wire fraud, mail fraud, and utility theft across state lines. She cracked right there under the fluorescent lights, voice breaking like cheap conduit. I needed the kiln for my business. The HOA fees weren't enough. I thought if I kept standards high, no one would notice. Too late. The cameras were rolling, both the ones she tried to ban and the news crews outside. 6 months later, Sunstone Ridge looked like a different place. Regina's mansion sold at auction. Every victim got restitution checks with interest. New board, real audits, actual warnings before fines. Property values climbed because people finally trusted the rules instead of fearing them. Emma started at ASU on scholarship money from the Maria Whitaker Memorial Fund we set up with recovered embezzlement cash. I still run my business, but now I teach weekend classes on spotting utility fraud, because nobody should have to learn the hard way that the people preaching community standards are sometimes the ones stealing the power. True or false, the HOA president was the real victim of abuse of power, or did she finally get the karma she so carefully wired for herself? Drop your answer below. I read every single one.